Here's the question that I've been thinking about this week. Inventory in the Florida housing market is way up. Pending sales are way down. So why are average prices still continuing to go up? Let's talk about it. Opinions written in the comments section under my recent videos tell me that we all know something is going on in Florida, but everybody has a different idea about what it is. So I have comments where people are blaming Northerners for Florida housing crisis. They're blaming Californians for the Florida housing crisis. They're blaming Biden. They're blaming DeSantis. Some people say hedge funds have ruined the Florida real estate market. Others say investors buying Airbnbs are to blame. And then we have different conclusions. The Florida housing market is about to crash and prices are going to fall dramatically. Or this is the new reality and these prices are here to stay. So which is it? And of course, if you're thinking about entering or exiting the Florida real estate market, these are really important questions. So first of all, let's examine some statistics. So I get my numbers from Florida Realtors, and it's a publication they put out called SunStats. And let me warn you, it's not going to alleviate your confusion. Across Florida, so I have to use May 2024 data because unfortunately June's is not out yet, but May of 2024 versus May of 2023, closed home sales are down 0.5%, not a huge amount. The median time to contract, so the number of days it's on the market before it goes under contract, is up almost 30%. New pending sales are down 1.8%. Active inventory, though, is up 60.5% over May of 2023. So where are the average sales prices? You'd think they'd be down, right? No, they're up by 5%. So let's look at these two scenarios. Either we have a crash coming, or this is just the way it's going to be from here on out, that prices are just high in Florida. Check this out.
Smart Survey analyzed Zillow house price data and federal income data to estimate affordability in the future. They ranked Florida among the top 10 states where houses will be the least affordable in 2030, estimating the average house price will be $712,439, while the average income will be $51,377.
Ouch, right? $712,000 with an average income of $51,000. How is that even remotely possible? Well, let me tell you one thing that's very interesting, and that is that our current average house price in Florida, did you know this, is $631,000 according to SunStats. That's right now. So 6 years from now, $712,000 might not even be accurate. It could even be higher than that. So that's May of 2024. That's very recently. The average home price in Florida is $631,000. Now, I want you to keep in mind that that is dramatically skewed by some very, very expensive properties. So the median, so like just the house that's in the middle of all the home sales, the median is actually $426,000. So that's already a lot more affordable, but our average is very high. But listen, if we look at Naples, okay, so South Florida, the average sales price in Naples in May of 2024 was $1.6 million. If we compare that to Ocala, which is much more affordable, the average sales price in Ocala is $335,000. So wide regional differences around Florida. So don't think that if you are the sort of person who's thinking about or dreaming of moving to Florida, that it's completely out of reach for you, because it's not. You have to plan carefully for where you're going to live within Florida. Another important thing that we need to look at is who our buyers are. And right now in Florida, we have quite a few cash sales. So almost 30% of homes sold in Florida are sold to buyers paying cash. Why is that important? Well, cash buyers, they're not worried about the interest rate, right? They don't have to worry about a monthly payment. They don't have to worry about saving up money for their down payment or their closing costs. They already have the cash. These are not our struggling first-time home buyers. These are established, wealthier individuals. And that 30% can also include investors. And we have some very large companies in Florida, such as Opendoor and OfferPad, that present offers to home sellers and present it in such a way that it seems very attractive. Very quick close, no showings. There are some people, maybe elderly people or young parents with a bunch of kids, that cannot even fathom the idea of having to clean their home quickly and rush out whenever there's a showing. And these present an attractive way to quickly sell your home and with fairly little hassle. But these companies also buy the home and then a month or 2 months later relist it, and they're making a profit. And they're making a profit off of the home sellers who traded equity for convenience. And as an aside, I would say that these companies are part of the problem of the affordability crisis in Florida, although it is a fairly minimal problem, but they do have hundreds of listings across the state that they have bought and relisted for a higher price very, very quickly. But for the most part, what I'm talking about are the cash buyers who are the wealthier people who don't want to take out a jumbo loan, which requires a higher interest rate, so they're just paying cash for their homes, that are skewing our numbers and our average home sale prices. And by the way, in Naples, the area with the $1.6 million average home price, 50% of their sales are with cash buyers. But what this tells me is that it's our average home buyer that is suffering right now. The ones who are finding that it's cheaper to rent rather than purchase that $300,000 home that they could buy because of things like property taxes going up and homeowners insurance and all the other things that add up and make home purchasing right now simply unaffordable for many people. I know there are many buyers, consumers out there who also believe that sellers are simply unrealistic in their pricing. So they're looking back to pandemic and lockdown stage when you could list a home for any price and have multiple offers. And they feel that sellers are just bumping their prices up. They're greedy. But what we're looking at here is not the asking price. We're looking at the sales price, and the sales price is still inching up, so 5% higher than it was a year ago. And remember, a seller is free to list their home for any price that they want to. It doesn't have to sell for that price, and if it's too high, it's not going to. But we're talking about sales prices. And I also want to point out that in May of 2024, homes have not been closing for far off from the asking price. Homes are selling at 97.3% of the list price, which is actually a little bit higher than in May of 2023 when they were selling at 96.7% of the list price on average. So how can prices remain so high when they're so unaffordable for most of the population? The median household income in Florida in 2022, which is the most recent data that I could find, is about $68,000 with a 7% interest rate and figuring in property taxes at about 0.8% and homeowners insurance at like roughly $1,500 per year. With a salary of $68,000, you can afford a home in the mid 200,000s. That's a fixer-upper in Florida. And in some areas, it wouldn't even be possible to find a home in that price. We also have to keep in mind that Florida remains a popular destination for many. You have people who don't ever want to shovel snow again. You have retirees who have dreamt of moving to Florida for a long time. You have people who are attracted to the no state income tax who want to move here for that reason. Florida's property taxes, while they're certainly up from what they were a few years ago because property values have risen, are still a lot lower than many other states. And we can't forget about our buyers from South Florida. I mean, I was doing an open house in Daytona Beach, just a block from the beach last weekend, and I got a young couple who was they were just driving home to Miami from St. Augustine, and they just stopped in. They loved the house, and they asked me, what's the price? And I said, it's $450,000. And they were amazed. They said in Miami that home would be well over $1 million and way out of their price range. So we do get people from South Florida moving to look for more affordable areas within Florida. And if you're selling a home in South Florida, then one in the Orlando area may seem much more affordable. And we have to talk about the interest rates a little bit. We had a little bit of good news this week. So inflation data came out a little bit lower than what was anticipated, right around 3%. So experts were expecting it would be 3.1%. Now, this is probably not going to trigger the Fed to cut rates. They say they want it to be more like 2%, but let's watch and see what happens. They have a meeting in July. Let's watch it through the fall. People are saying that they may cut rates before the end of the year. Now, the interest rates aren't necessarily dictated by what the Fed says, but it's largely tied together, and the Fed is looking at inflation data. So rates can decrease without the Fed decreasing their rates, but it's usually tied together. And again, if interest rates go down, guess what's going to happen to prices? Up, because there's going to be increased demand. Those buyers who are sitting on the fence may come off of the fence and start looking if we could get rates back down into the 5s, which some people are saying is possible within the next year to 2 years. Now, let's not forget also, it is an election year, and we're finally starting to hear some information about the upcoming elections. A lot of people are on the fence due to that, waiting to see if their candidate wins and hoping for the best. I don't have a crystal ball to look into the future, and I would love to hear what your thoughts are on this Are we going to see a huge crash in Florida, or is this it? Prices don't have to come down as much as we wish that they would, as much as we wish that things would remain affordable. Florida is becoming increasingly expensive. But what do you think? Do you think we're going to see a dramatic crash in housing prices? Or is it staying strong? Florida is definitely becoming out of reach for many people, even people who live here now, thanks to our insurance rates and property taxes. People are uprooting and planning to leave and are leaving. What do you see happening? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please drop a comment below the video. And remember, my contact information is always below this video. You can click on my calendar and set up a time to talk to me. Many have already done so, and I enjoy having these conversations with people from all across the country talking about their potential move to Florida. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.